I do want to start with last night because I would imagine like bittersweet is probably describing it mildly, where you watch, you lose out on the opportunity to race for $1 million from what it seems like, a pretty close finish. But then it's topped off with this absolutely beautiful proposal. What was it like last night, kind of watching it all back at the exact definition of mixed emotions?
So when I actually got proposed to on the race, I'm pretty sure I blacked out. Like I don't really remember that. I don't remember what he said. I just remember being like super like in awe. And so just getting to relive it last night was very surreal and it was emotional. People got me like crying. They would like video the screen and then like pan out and video me. And I'm just like a mess.
Same for me. Mike, it was like I could not remember what I said to her that entire time. Like as soon as the cameras are rolling, and I got a really cool story to tell you, Mike, about the kind of
It wasn't behind the scenes.
It was not behind the scenes. It was actually what happened. But to be able to see that day and relive it just kind of made this whole all-encompassing experience come together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, I gotta start with where you just teased there. Talk to me about what was going on behind the scenes here. Spill the tea.
Oh, absolutely. It was such a cool, nuanced experience to this. So if you remember, we got on those kayaks and crossed that water channel.
Mm.
And right before that, we get into that kayak, people in the production team are like, Vince, you got to give me your backpack. Give us all your everything, because you saw that Rod and Letitia flipping over. They didn't
Yeah,
want
yeah,
that to
yeah.
happen.
And stuff to get wet.
Right. And I swear, Mike, I was holding on to this backpack like I was not giving it up. I was like, no, you can't have this backpack. There's something special in this backpack. I cannot give you this backpack. I need this backpack because I think Phil is over there and I need to do something when I get there. Well, they take the backpack from me, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. So we cross this channel, and I'm freaking out. I'm getting out
Mm.
of this kayak, and I don't know what to do. And we run to the mat, and I just like blurt out to him, to Phil, and I was like, Phil, I need my backpack. And Amber was
like, why do you need your backpack? Why are you being so weird?
Yes. And so it was like he is such a smooth criminal. It was like he stopped the whole thing, acted like there was a big production issue.
We got to record again. Like the mics were messed up from the water.
Right. I'm so sorry. We'll do it again. So he did this beautiful thing, and Amber had no clue. He comes up, gives her a coconut drink, and he slips like the bag with the ring in behind me, and I'm boom, mission impossible accomplished. And then he's like, all right, let's do it. We get back to the mat, and then I get the chance to get down on one knee.
Wow. So yeah, we need to rewind, past the kayaks, past everything, and talk about what got you on the mat in the first place. I'm super intrigued. What was your history with The Amazing Race, and what caused you to decide we're going to do this show? Did you always want to do it together?
So I actually was talking to him about this morning. It's been almost 3-year journey for us.
Wow.
So Joy Gordo, casting producer, reached out to us on Instagram, December of 2021, saying, hey, I think you guys would be a great team on The Amazing Race. We're looking for dynamic teams of 2. If you're interested, like message me and we can start this process. And I thought it was a scam because I'm just kind of pessimistic and I'm just like, we ain't getting on The Amazing Race, And he's like, no, like let's like pursue this.
Yeah.
And
so she goes and deletes the thing because she thinks it's a scam. And I go on, I'm like, go to work, and I'm like in between one of my cases, I text Joy back and I'm like, hit her up, and I was interested, and one thing led to the next. We're doing psych evals and all these applications, and then here we are running the final 4.
So we applied for season 34, and we made it all the way up to. We did the psych testing, but we didn't do the actual interviews.
We got all the way up to where we were about to meet with the exec producers.
And then they told us that like we weren't the right fit to the puzzle this season,
but maybe
keep you in mind for future seasons. And so we were like really heartbroken, and we we started training like right away after joining.
Immediately that day, we went to Barnes and Nobles and we were like reading every travel book up and down these aisles. I mean, that's the thing. The pressure of this race just continued to grow because literally this was almost like a 3-year journey of preparation. So it was all consuming for that entire time.
And when we like go for something, we go like hard, 100%. We give it our best. And so it's 3 years of really hard work and determination and grit. So yeah.
So then the question is, at which part in that 3-year process did the ring come into the picture? Because I would imagine, Vinny, you're not like piecing it together out of seaweed in Barbados to make something to give to Amber. At what point in the process before the race did you decide, like, no matter what happens, I'm going to propose to her?
Yeah, it was really, really interesting because right when I got on the race, we kind of started the journey. I started talking to my mom about like, oh, I think that this might be the woman that I want to be with. And so that was like, we were about 2 years into our relationship. And so we were just getting serious. We got out of school. And so my mom gave me the ring that was passed down to her from my grandma. And she said, I want you to repurpose this rock. And this was a diamond that was been passed on from generation to generation. And so from that point on, it was just a mission impossible to try to share a backpack, do this amazing race across the world. And then she has no idea that there's a diamond ring waiting for her in this backpack.
But didn't you plan on proposing if we had gotten on season 34?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you had already had it in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
So it was already set in stone, at least in my heart, that was what we were going to do. And then in the Amazing Race, I was like personally really testing our relationship and pushing it to the limits just for personal reasons to really know against all odds we're gonna go the distance on the race and in life.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about pushing beyond. Look, I'd be remiss not to bring up, of course, what we saw, which was certainly a good amount of conflict between the two of you. I would love to get your perspective on it because, as you had mentioned, you were both so independently minded that this was an opportunity for you to really work together as a team. I mean, did the conflict surprise you? And what was sort of each of your perspectives on those disagreements you were having throughout the race?
I don't think the conflict surprised me at all. That is something we have been struggling with our entire relationship, is the way we communicate to each other. So I wasn't surprised at how we acted. Am I proud of it? No, but that's just that amount of stress and us also trying to work together as a team was just I don't know. It was just not.
It was a recipe
for disaster
for us to really see how are we going to organically navigate this. And for us, we talked about it. We said, look, we have really one gear, which is full send with whatever we do. And so we were like, you put some cameras around that. I'm not sure if America is going to be ready for that authenticity. And we chose to truly want to normalize what real relationship looks like for people like us. And for anyone who may think it's different, it's Disney movies and Hallmark movies and happily ever afters. It's just newsflash. Whenever you get into deep relationship like us, we live such a high level of collaboration that it does get difficult and it does get messy.
Shane said that had he taken his wife on the show with him, he literally said this last night. He was like, we would have gotten divorced. And like all of our close friends have said that. They're like, it's just different with relationships. There's a reason why The Amazing Race puts people in relationships, like partnerships, on the race together. And it's because there is going to be conflict and there is going to be situations where you have to work through and persevere. And it's just reality, right? It's reality TV. But do we fight like that in real life? Not to that extent, because we're not under that pressure every day. So to answer people's questions, no, our home life is very, very different than what
very functional. And the edits, I do believe, were very sensationalized.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask about your reaction to that. Do you feel like it was a representation? You said a little bit of like your reality, but what was your reaction to the story that was being told about the two of you, especially culminating in the proposal?
I think for me personally, it did a disservice to who we truly are.
Mm.
Are very intense and passionate individuals for sure, but I believe that Amber was depicted as someone who is like this I can't do, this very whiny, weak, unable, incapable woman. And the reality of our relationship is that if there's anyone that's incapable, it's me. And then she is extremely capable and makes really the majority of our choices from a financial standpoint, from a life standpoint, from a domestic standpoint. She takes charge in so many ways that I don't believe that they even did our relationship a true justice of what it is.
But I mean, they did have a story that they were trying to
Right.
tell, and I think that for the Amazing Race, they did what they could with the footage, and then they had the proposal. So I think they had us struggling throughout the race, and then we persevered,
Sure.
and we got engaged. I think that's the story that they were trying.
Every story has a conflict for sure.
Yeah.
I want to move outside of your team to other teams because it was, a pretty big moment during the mega leg when Amber, you really highlight this like 3-team coalition that had formed when you decide to stay behind to help Angie through that roadblock. Talk to me through that because I certainly think there are fans and racers alike that would be like, what are you doing? This is a race. And I've certainly talked with other teams about it. What was sort of your reaction to the strategy of working together and that moment to help Angie?
Well, I think there was some strategy, but I also, I'm a very like empathetic. I do things with my heart, and Angie was kind of like this mother figure, and just her and Danny's relationship really just touched me the whole race. Just seeing them at the pit stop, that very second leg with Phil, and seeing Danny cry, and knowing that this was such a special thing for them to do together. I was like, I want Angie to be able to experience as many countries and legs with her son. That's kind of where my heart was. From a strategic standpoint, Danny is one of the most intelligent people I know, and he's very good with navigation. And I felt like they were a strong team. So I don't know. I think there was a combination of both.
Yes, yes, we definitely aligned with them as it was an alliance of the underdogs. Like if you saw us, we were really struggling to keep up, and you know that Danny and Angie all the same. People called them weak, but they're actually a really strong team. People
Mm.
would say things about us, but again, we made it to the final four, and so we really showed our skills in different ways, and that aligned throughout the race every time, and we showed up in a very loyal way for
And
each
they were
other.
loyal to us too, and we didn't feel that way with any other team. So
Well, last thing I want to ask is that it is an understatement to say that the two of you certainly learned a lot about each other and your relationship as you start this next stage together. But I will ask you, what's the biggest thing you learned about the other person racing around the world together? Amber, let's start with you.
so we're both, like I said, we're both very strong individuals, and I have a hard time letting go of control. I'm kind of a control freak. And for me, it's just letting Vincent take control in situations that I know that he is strong in. One of those things was the navigation, and just taking the lead and just letting him excel in that role. And it was really cool to just see that on TV and be like, I need to let go a little more. So
Mm.
For me personally, is that I realized that I don't really listen that well. And so I watching the TV show, um, she was talking me through a lot of things, but because I'm so tunnel visioned and this chip mind of mine will kind of be just overtaking my mental capacity that I'm not really listening. I can hear what she's saying, but I'm not listening. And so I had this whole journal entry where I was just writing about like, why are you not listening? What are the things that would help you to be able to trigger you to tap back in and really dial our relationship back in? Because it's almost as if she's speaking on a different frequency for me. And so then once through that race, I started realizing, hey, you need to calm your mind, be able to listen to your partner, and actually you work as a unit. And so for me, I think that was the biggest thing. And after the race, I started to really slow down, close my mouth so much more, open my ears, and just really dial into our relationship so that we can hear each other. And I think that's where the basis of our problems were, our issues
I mean,
were.
anytime we have disagreements, like in real life, it's because we're stressed. It's because we're under pressure. You know, that's the common denominator. So if we can just control the stressors or control how we react to the stressors, then we can do really well together.
Right.
And I think that's one thing we learned with the race.
So much growth, Mike. We love the experience.
Yeah, I mean, that introspection I think is so key. I mean, 20 plus years of The Amazing Race is lined with couples who came on and fought and said, you know, unhappily ever after. And I think just the fact that it does end with a happy ending for the two of you does go to show, to your point, I think the authenticity that you brought to your relationship, and just a reminder as well to people that, you know, we can't necessarily diagnose or therapize relationships that we are watching from a bird's eye perspective for, you know, a pressurized race around the world. It makes me so happy to see the two of you happy. And that, to your point, Vinny, you have both left with like even a greater appreciation for each other. It makes me so excited for what's going to happen next with the two of you.
Thanks,
thank you
Mike.
so much. I
Appreciate
appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah, of course. All the best to you and yours. Best of luck with the wedding planning as well. And looking forward to what happens next with the two of you. Thanks so much again.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Mike.
Have a great day.
Have a
Thank you,
great
Mike.
one. Take care. Bye-bye.